Marcus Aurelius didn't wake up in a silk bed and check his notifications. He woke up in a drafty, cold tent on the edge of the Danube River, the smell of damp earth and iron hanging in the air. Outside, an invading Germanic army waited. Inside, the most powerful man in the world sat by a flickering lamp. His first thought wasn't, "I need coffee," or "How do I win this war?" It was, "How do I remain a good man today?" Most modern productivity hacks are obsessed with doing more. They want you to squeeze every drop of output out of your waking hours. But Stoic rituals are different. They're about being more. The Stoics understood a truth we've largely forgotten. If you don't command your morning, the world will gladly do it for you. If you leave your mind undefended, the first email, the first headline, or the first rude driver you encounter will become your master. Today we are moving past superficial hustle culture to steal the morning blueprints of history's most formidable minds. We're looking at emperors like Aurelius, slaves turned teachers like Epictetus, and statesmen like Seneca. These weren't just philosophers, they were warriors of the mind who faced exile, plague, and betrayal, with a calm that bordered on the supernatural. We're going to see exactly how they conquered their internal chaos before the sun had even conquered the horizon. If you've ever felt like a passenger in your own life, pay attention. The battle for your day starts now. The core challenge we face every morning isn't a lack of time, it's a total abdication of our sovereignty. We treat the first hour of the day as something to get through, rather than something to claim. In Stoic terms, we're essentially walking onto the battlefield without our armour, wondering why every arrow finds its mark. The anatomy of cognitive surrender. Most of us start our day in a state of cognitive surrender. This isn't just a dramatic phrase, it's a neurological reality. From the moment your eyes open, your brain is in a highly suggestible state. Instead of grounding yourself in your own values, you immediately outsource your consciousness to external forces. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus, argued that the only thing we truly own is our prohoresis, our faculty of choice or will. When you surrender your morning, you are handing the keys to your prohoresis to a stranger, a corporation, or a random algorithm. You're effectively saying, "I don't know who I am today. Please, world, tell me who I should be." The alarm, snooze, your first act of defeat. Consider the alarm clock. For many, the first conscious act of the day is hitting the snooze button. In the vacuum of your bedroom, this seems like a small mercy, 10 more minutes of warmth. But in the theatre of your character, it is your first crushing defeat. Marcus Aurelius famously struggled with this. He wrote in his Meditations, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I have to go to work as a human being,' or is this what I was created for? To huddle under the blankets and stay warm?" When you snooze, you're practicing procrastination as your very first movement. You are signalling to your subconscious that your goals, your duties, and your work as a human being are less important than a momentary physical comfort. You start the day by breaking a promise to yourself. By the time your feet actually hit the floor, you're already operating from a deficit of self-trust. The digital leash, the scroll, then comes the scroll. Before you have even acknowledged your own existence or the person lying next to you, you reach for the glass slab. In an instant, you're no longer in your bedroom. You're in a war zone in a distant country. You're in the middle of a toxic political debate. You're in the highlight reel of a stranger's vacation. You're in the inbox of an angry client. You've allowed the chaos of the world to dictate your internal state before you've even brushed your teeth. This is the antithesis of the Stoic inner citadel. The Stoics believed in creating a mental fortress that external events could not penetrate. By checking your phone first thing, you are intentionally tearing down the walls of your fortress and inviting the mob inside. You're inviting an army of opinions, demands, and anxieties to set up camp in your mind. The result? The leaf in the storm. The result of this surrender is that you aren't living your day. You're merely reacting to it. You've set your baseline to a state of high alert agitation. Psychologically, this is known as decision fatigue and sensory overload, occurring before the day has even begun. By 10 a.m., you find yourself sitting at your desk, heart racing, feeling a vague sense of behind-the-curve anxiety. You wonder why you feel so overwhelmed when you've only been working for an hour. The truth is, you've been fighting a mental war since 7 a.m., a war you chose to enter unarmed. You have become, as the Stoics warned, a leaf in a storm. A leaf has no agency. It goes wherever the wind blows. If the news is bad, you are sad. If an email is stressful, you are stressed. If social media makes you feel inadequate, you feel small. You have given away your power to be the pilot of your own soul, and instead, you have become the wreckage tossed about by the waves. The challenge isn't just to be more productive. The challenge is to reclaim the throne of your own mind. To do that, we have to look at the rituals that allowed the most powerful men in history to remain still while the world around them burned. To combat the cognitive surrender of the modern morning, we must adopt the Stoic concept of the morning as a preparatio ad futurum diem, a preparation for the future day. For the Stoics, the dawn wasn't a time for comfort. It was a time for fortification. They utilized 3 specific pillars to build their mental armor. Pillar 1, the view from above, the perspective of Marcus Aurelius. The first pillar is a meditative exercise often attributed to Marcus Aurelius known as the view from above. When we wake up, our ego is at its most fragile and narcissistic. We focus on our sore neck, our looming deadlines, and our personal grievances. The view from above is the practice of deliberate expansion. Imagine your consciousness rising out of your body, hovering above your house, then your city, then the continent, until you're looking down at the earth from the silent cold of space. From this height, the massive problem of a missed promotion or a rude comment on social media becomes invisible. You see the vast cycles of time, the millions who lived before you, and the millions who will come after. This isn't designed to make you feel insignificant. It's designed to make your anxieties feel manageable. By zooming out, you strip away the value judgments you've attached to your problems. You realize that most of what stresses you out is merely human bustle. When you shrink your problems to their actual cosmic size, you regain the composure needed to handle them. You move from a state of frantic panic to a state of objective clarity. Pillar 2, Premeditatio Malorum, the mental rehearsal of Seneca. The second pillar is perhaps the most famous and most misunderstood, Stoic technique. Premeditatio Malorum, or the premeditation of evils. In modern culture, we are told to think positive and visualize success. The Stoics thought this was dangerous. If you only visualize success, you're psychologically shattered when things go wrong. Seneca argued that the man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive. Every morning, Seneca would sit and perform a mental rehearsal of everything that could go wrong. He would imagine his flight being cancelled, his dinner being burnt, a friend betraying him, or even his own exile. This isn't pessimism, it's strategic inoculation. By visualizing the evil before it happens, you accomplish 2 things. 1. You remove the element of surprise. Most of our suffering comes from the shock of an unexpected event. If you've already met the rude waiter in your mind, you don't lose your temper when he appears in reality. 2. You realize you can endure it. You ask yourself, if this happens, will I still be a person of character? The answer is always yes. This builds a profound sense of unshakability. You aren't hoping for a perfect day, you are preparing to be a perfect version of yourself in an imperfect world. Pillar 3, the morning journal, the moral inventory of Epictetus. The final pillar is the ritual of the morning journal, a practice championed by Epictetus. However, this was not a Dear Diary exercise for venting emotions. It was a rigorous philosophical audit. Most people use their planners to ask, what do I have to do today? This is a checklist of tasks. The Stoic uses their journal to ask, who do I have to be today? This is a checklist of virtues. Epictetus taught that we should start every morning by reminding ourselves of our role in the world. In your journal, you don't just list meetings, you list the virtues those meetings will require. Meeting with the difficult boss. Virtue, patience. Heavy workload. Virtue, persistence. Evening workout. Virtue, self-discipline. This shift in questioning is subtle but transformative. When you focus on doing, you are at the mercy of whether or not you complete the task. When you focus on being, you are in total control. Even if the meeting is cancelled and the workout is skipped, you still have the opportunity to exercise the virtue of adaptability. The journal is where you set the internal rules for the game of life before you go out and play it. It is the process of deciding in advance that no matter what the day throws at you, your character remains your own. This brings us to the centerpiece of the Stoic morning, the key moment that separates the casual admirer of philosophy from the practitioner who is truly bulletproof. If you only take one thing away from the lives of these titans, let it be this: the difficult person meditation. It is a technique pulled directly from the private journals of Marcus Aurelius. Imagine him, the most powerful man on earth, writing to himself in the flickering light of a candle before his legions woke up. He didn't write about glory. He wrote a warning. He said to himself, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." At first glance, this sounds like a recipe for a miserable day. It sounds like the grumbling of a cynical, burnt-out old man. But this is the twist. This isn't cynicism. It is the ultimate psychological hack for modern life. It is the secret to maintaining a state of aponia, the absence of pain, and ataraxia, unshakable tranquility. The power of the surprise gap. Why does this meditation work? To understand that, we have to look at why we get angry. We don't get angry because things are bad. We get angry because things are different than we expected. Anger, frustration, and anxiety live in the surprise gap. The distance between your expectation of a smooth, polite day and the reality of a traffic jam or a rude co-worker. When you walk into your office expecting everyone to be collaborative and kind, and instead you meet a colleague who takes credit for your work, your ego is shattered. You feel wronged. Your blood pressure spikes. Your day is ruined. By practicing the difficult person meditation, you are closing the gap. When you have already met the ungrateful and the treacherous person in your mind at 6 a.m., they lose their power over you at 2 p.m. When they finally show up, you don't react with shock or rage. Instead, you think, there you are. I've been expecting you. You aren't surprised, and because you aren't surprised, you are in control. Removing the element of surprise. The Stoics knew that surprise is the fuel of emotion. If a storm hits a sailor who expected clear skies, he panics. If a storm hits a sailor who checked the barometer and battened down the hatches, he simply works. This meditation is your barometer. It removes the element of surprise from the human experience. Most of us go through life with a hidden hope that today will be the day everyone is reasonable, that today will be the day the technology works perfectly and the people we love don't say anything hurtful. This hope is actually a weakness. It makes you fragile. Marcus Aurelius continues his meditation with the most important part. None of those people can truly harm me, for they cannot implicate me in ugliness. Nor can I feel angry at my relative or hate him. We were born to work together like feet, hands, and eyes. This is the climax of the Stoic morning. You realize that the difficult person isn't an obstacle to your day. They are the day. Dealing with them with grace and composure is the very work as a human being that Aurelius woke up for. Unshakable, not cold. There is a common misconception that Stoicism is about becoming a stone, cold, unfeeling, and robotic. But look closer at this ritual. It's actually about deep empathy. Aurelius reminds himself that these people are the way they are because they cannot tell good from evil. They are spiritually blind. When you see a person lashing out and you've prepared for it, you don't see an enemy. You see a patient. You see someone who is suffering from a lack of wisdom. You become unshakable, not because you've turned off your heart, but because you've turned on your brain. You are prepared. You have pre-processed the friction of human interaction. While everyone else is being tossed about by the waves of other people's bad moods, you are the rock that the waves break against. The power of this ritual is that it grants you a second of clarity. In that second, the moment between someone being rude and you responding, you have a choice. Because you did your morning meditation, you have the breathing room to choose character over reflex. You're no longer a leaf in the storm. You are the storm's center. Stoicism isn't just a morning routine. It's a closed loop, a continuous cycle of self-mastery that turns the chaos of life into the fuel for your character. If you only practice these rituals at sunrise and forget them by noon, you aren't a Stoic. You're just a dreamer. Think of your day in 3 distinct phases. The morning is the plan, where you build your armor and rehearse the battle. The day is the practice, where you step onto the field and test your virtues against the reality of difficult people and unexpected obstacles. And finally, the evening is the review. The Stoics believed in bookending their day. Before sleep, they would ask, what did I do well? What did I do wrong? What will I do better tomorrow? This evening reflection ensures that today's failures become tomorrow's wisdom. It closes the loop, allowing you to shed the day's stress and begin the next morning with a clean slate and a sharper mind. You don't need a toga, a marble palace, or a tent on the edge of the Danube to live like this. You don't need an hour of meditation or an expensive app. A powerful morning ritual requires nothing more than 5 minutes of intentional silence and a stubborn refusal to let the world inside your head before you found your center. By claiming the first moments of your day, you aren't just improving your productivity, you are reclaiming your soul. You are deciding that you are the master of your fate, and that no matter what the day brings, your character remains your own. If you're tired of waking up at the mercy of your phone, it's time to stop being a passenger in your own life. Start the practice right now. Comment below with the one evil or challenge you are premeditating for tomorrow. Whether it's a difficult conversation, a grueling project, or a setback you know is coming, name it here and strip it of its power. Let's build some mental armor together as a community. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to turn your obstacles into the way. Claim your morning and you'll claim your life.